Introducing
Pretty Girls Love Real Estate. Stories of everyday women breaking barriers and building wealth through real estate.
Let's get it. Boss. BOSS.
Hello. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Pretty Girls Love Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Washington. And once again, I'm super excited for this week's episode. I have a wonderful, bright spirit with me once again today. Her name is Jolyn Hohnstein, and she is a wholesaler in the Seattle market, but she does a bunch of other different projects. She has developments going on in Arizona and Vegas and Cali. So we're going to talk to her about all of that stuff. But first of all, we always got to talk about her journey and, how she got invested in real estate, how she got interested, how she got started. So first and foremost, Jolyn, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Jessica. I appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you for joining me. And I know we got connected through, 2 or 3 degrees of separation. And that's one of the things I love about doing this show is I get to meet awesome women crushing the game like you. So first off, how did you get interested in real estate and how did you get to your, where you are in your journey to this point?
Well, let me start from when I was 9. No, I'll make it really short. I knew I was one of those nerds that I would go to the library and rent biographies out. And so I noticed the common theme of any wealthy person in America or financially independent person was they had their own business and they invested in real estate. So I knew from a young age investing in real estate was a great thing. But I started when I was, 20, I was 21. I just graduated from college and I was working at a job as an industrial psychologist, making the workplace ergonomically safe. And that was really boring. So during my stint there, it was. I cracked jokes and the engineers wouldn't find them funny. So I thought, I got to get out of here. And it was only 6 months into it, So then I thought, well, let me get my real estate license. So while I'm working there, I got my real estate license. And then when I got my real estate license, I knew that if I bought an ugly house, because I read a lot about it, but fixed it up, it would be worth a lot. And so my very first piece of property was in Southern California in the late 80s, where the interest rate adjustable was like 15%. Adjustable. Okay. And the fixed rate, I think, was like 18 to 20. It was like a credit card. So I talked my dad into putting a down payment down and I would take care of the monthly payments. Well, that house had 2 houses on one lot. It was just ugly. My dad helped me fix it up. I ended up renting out the house in the back for $800, had a roommate in the front house for $400, and my total mortgage, including taxes and insurance, was $1,200. So I was I got a house, I didn't put any money down, and I'm living there rent-free, and they're paying my mortgage. So ever since then, I was like, I love this. So that's how I started
into this real estate thing. Yeah, for sure.
But then I was doing it the traditional way. I was like buying one piece of property, waiting 5 years, then to appreciate, then refinancing, then buying another piece of property, wait 5 years, refinance. And so if you can imagine in 30 years, that's only 6 pieces of property. Then I found my mentor. Well, I didn't find my mentor. My mentor found me. I've known her for a while, but she found out that I stopped working at a place that had me a captive agent, because I do have a couple of other businesses, but real estate is my passion. Anyway, when she taught me the wholesale side, it was over. That was it. I'm completely hooked. And in the 4 years I've been doing this, well, the past 30 years, like I said, I only got maybe 6 pieces of property, right? 6 pieces of property. But in the past 4 years, I have acquired and also kept over I want to say 15 to 16 properties that I've done personally myself. But then I also have other people do it too. So now that I understand that, and I continue learning from people also, I love it. I love it. Everywhere I go is a business trip because there's real estate everywhere.
Yep, absolutely. So for anybody out there that may not be familiar with wholesaling, can you just explain what that means and how that process works?
Yeah, so normally wholesaling is buying a piece of property about 50 to 60% below market value, and it's probably because it needs a lot of fixing up. And usually it's off market where you contact the seller directly, and there's different types of programs that I use to contact the seller directly. But I also do use real estate agents because, believe it or not, there could be deals out there and they have different realtors in different areas looking for me all the time. And it doesn't take them a lot of effort. They just send it to me through the MLS. But I found that way there's more competition, especially from people who aren't experienced fix and flippers.
Yep.
So I prefer getting them off market. And there's a lot of different ways you can get them off market.
And so at that point, you put it under contract and then you basically flip the contract to another investor who was going to actually do the work.
Yep. That's one of our, what would you call that? That's one of the things that we do. We mainly invest, so we look for property for ourselves, but as I'm looking for property, I'm also doing my due diligence, looking at, because the sellers might not know everything, and you need to know the permitting side. You need to know what your end game is for that piece of property, and you need to do some due diligence to make sure that you don't lose any money with that. But what I do is I have properties that come to me and I'll do my due diligence and it looks good, but I have too many projects going on, then that's when I'll wholesale it to someone, let's say like you, Jessica, and you might want to buy it and you still get a really good deal. So basically what I'll do is I'll acquire that piece of property, do my due diligence, but then also put it out there to other fix and flippers that might want it. And then maybe charge a little bit more on top of that as my assignment fee for finding the property, putting the deal together. And also, I also help with the financing as well. So I do all of that, and that's wholesaling is like that. Yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the lending side of it in a second, but what ways of marketing do you primarily use to find some of these off-market deals?
It's so funny because I haven't done any marketing. So I also I'm a broker. I have a brokerage, an insurance brokerage. So when I talk about insurance, people are like, they don't even want to talk to me. They're like, I have body odor or something. But it's so true. But when I say, oh yeah, I invest in real estate or I fix and flip real estate, oh my gosh, everybody wants to talk to you, right? How do you do that? How do you do? So then anyone that I talk to, I say, well, to get started, what you need to do is find a ugly house in a nice neighborhood. And that's because that's how I started out. And then I'll show you I'll coach you through how to do the numbers once you can identify property. Because I believe that's the most challenging part of this business is identifying the property or acquiring the property. So that's how I get it. I have clients and friends that are Uber drivers or Uber Eats drivers. I'm like, dudes, when you go out there, if you see an ugly house, all I want you to do is jot down the address, and that's all I want. And then if we end up buying it, you get a 1.5% finder's fee. So for them, just driving around. So basically, I just tell everybody I'm investing in real estate. And if they have an ugly house in a nice neighborhood, they can earn some money too. So almost every day I get on a list. I get a list of properties that I can look at, and I can't look at all of them. So I end up pushing them off to other people as well. But because there's certain things that I am looking for, but in any rate, I'm able to help other fix and flippers acquire property too.
Cool. And this is, you deal with properties all over the country. So if there's anybody listening out here that may have come across a property that may fall under this criteria, we're going to share her contact information later on, and absolutely just hit her up, and maybe you can make some money off of just, writing down an address, basically.
My coaching is always complimentary, as you know, Jessica. So a lot of people say, oh yeah, I want to learn about this, but like any business, maybe 5% of people will actually do it. So if you're the 5%, you could call me and then I could coach you through how to acquire some property.
Cool. All right. So let's talk about the financing side, because I know you said you also put deals together. You connect people that are investors, like hard money lenders, with the people that want to actually do the flip. So what does that process look like for you?
Yeah. So let's say I find a piece of property. I don't ever use cash. I don't ever put cash down, because you want to leverage your money. A lot of times when people get in trouble in real estate is because they put their own cash, or they buy the piece of property cash and they have no leverage there. Whereas people think, oh, well, if I get a hard money loan, that's 12%, that's going to cost me too much. But when I end up doing the numbers in the long run, especially because most of the time when you're doing a fix and flip, it's 6 months or less, unless it's very extensive, then I find that 12% is nothing compared to the benefits that you get. So basically, when you're acquiring a piece of property, let's say that there's a piece of property out there really needs fixing up, it was worth 400, but we could get it for 200. Normally, hard money lenders will finance up to 80% of that, which includes the renovation costs. So let's say 200,000 plus 250 is the reno cost. So your total loan amount would be 250,000. So from that, the hard money lender will loan you 80%, which is 200,000, and you have to put down the down payment of 50,000. But what I found is a lot of people who want to do fix and flips, especially if they're contractors or real estate agents that are familiar, they don't have that cash. So what I do is I have a pool of clients that all they do all day long is put in that 20% if the deal has good margins. And they know that I've done my due diligence to put them in that. And so basically they'll put down their 20%, they'll put down the 50,000, and then at the end of the deal, or when you're fixed and sold it, then you pay all of them back. So basically you're paying the $250,000 back, but but you got the 50,000 to do the renovation. And this is just rudimentary numbers, but you basically will have, minus holding costs, closing costs, because people they forget about those costs. Right. And those hard costs that could be about, $30,000 to $80,000, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
That into account. But when I ask our investor to invest, I actually add that in for our fix and flipper. So let's say that they borrow another 50,000 in holding costs, things like that. So then their profit margin would be about $100,000 on that piece of property, because it's 250 plus holding costs, closing costs. That's 300, and sell it for 400,000. Well, that's the profit, gross profit to the fix and flipper. And I tell fix and flippers, minimum, you need to make $30,000 minimum, because all of your effort renovating the property, or being the project manager renovating the property, it needs to come out to something, right?
Yeah, and worth all that stress.
Exactly. And people forget to put their profit in with their numbers. So 30,000 minimum. Otherwise, I won't do the deal.
Got you. So for the investors that are kind of putting out the money for this gap funding, what type of interest rate can they usually expect by doing this?
It's between 12 and 20%. So it depends on the person. So, and it depends on the deal. So I've got people, 12% in a 6-month period of time, that's a lot of money. Yes.
That's great.
and it's secured by a deed of trust because our gap funders always are the second deed of trust holders, always.
Mm-hmm.
So it's secured by a deed of trust. I mean, I don't see any other investment that has an asset, a hard asset where you can secure your money with, even stock.
Right.
I mean, it's not like that. And I encourage people to diversify always. Don't put all your eggs in real estate. Don't do that. I actually had a guy, he came to me, he wants to buy the property from his sisters. That's $6 million, okay, on the water next to Russell Wilson. I don't know if you know, but anyway, and I'm a football fan, so anyway, so we're actually doing a deal where he wants to stay in the property, but I know a guy who wants to joint venture with him. So basically, he's going to buy his sisters. This guy's going to buy this guy's sisters out, let him live in the property for 5 years, and then at the end of the 5 years, sell him his share of that $6 million or whatever they agreed on. But what I'm able to do with that was I was able to acquire the property for $5.5 million and then sell it to the end user for $6 million.
Wow.
That's still in the works.
$500,000 profit is a lot.
Girl, I'm telling you. But you know what I say? It's just an extra zero. No big deal, right?
Yeah, the same. Yeah, we always say that it's the same amount of work if you're talking about $100,000 house versus this $5 million house. So absolutely. Now, also, and going back to the person that's actually doing the flipping, I know with most hard money, there needs to be some type of experience. Now, I would imagine that would be the case too with this gap funding because, somebody that's brand new, a lot of people are trying to dive into real estate now with the recession going on. Like, I could see there being a lot of risk with a lot of newbies trying to jump in and don't know where they're going.
Exactly. So if I know that they're new, then what I'll do is I'll partner up with them. So then I will help them get the crews together, things like that. And I'll teach them how to do a fix and flip basically. But since they're not putting any money down, they have to do the sweat equity, right? So then I'm going to show them how to demo. I'm going to show them how to look up the permits. And so basically they're going to be doing all the work, but because they're newer, I would have to be not in control, but suggest the crews that would be working for them. Because when you're doing a fix and flip, you really, really need a good crew. You might have everything together, but if you don't have a good crew, you're going to be
working. How you lose money real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be working a lot.
Yeah, and that's one of the hardest things about doing a renovation is having a good, reliable crew, having contractors that know what they're doing. So,
yep, exactly. And when I first started in this business, I wanted to see what the contractors looked at. So what I would do is I would just call the contractors in my area and say, hey, when you go out to a piece of property, can I go with you, right? Or hey, I found this piece of property. Can you come with me? And I want to see what you see in this property. That could be part of your due diligence too. But what I ended up doing was I followed maybe 4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 general contractors who were all men, by the way. And they looking at a house from a contractor's point of view is way different than looking from it from a designer point of view and from a buyer's point of view. So I encourage people, if you know a general contractor, go out there and see what they see. Look, just shadow them, because that taught me so much.
For sure. No, this is fascinating stuff, especially so many opportunities within the lending space right now. But I want to transition to talk about some of the development projects that you have going on. I know when we spoke last, you were back on the way from Arizona. You had a pit stop in Vegas. So what are some of the things that you have going on there?
Well, with several years ago with my mentor, we actually started looking at property in Arizona, which is White Hills, Arizona. So it's only about 50 minutes from Vegas. So we actually land in Vegas, stay there, and then drive down. And it's only 15 minutes from Lake Mead. but is almost, I don't know if you believe in the law of attraction, but things just, people say, Jolyn, how do you get this? And I'm like, I don't know, but I know what I know is I love real estate, and people just come to you. You just have to be aware of it. And so we're able to acquire these lots build ready. Okay. It had all the utilities on there, 1 acre lots for about $3,000. And we assigned them for $30,000. And then what we're going to do is help them sell their lot and then build on there. And so that way we're not acquiring any construction costs. So that's what I was doing there last time, was a meeting with my real estate agent who would be pre-selling our lots. And we already have, for that particular development, there's only 22 houses, but we already have 6 people who are willing to put cash down for those houses. And then we also have a bigger development near Kingman. It's in Golden Valley. That was 144 homes. And we've acquired it, and we are in the process of building some affordable housing close to there because there's very little stick-built homes there. So when you get a lead or you get someone who says, here, look at this, if you feel inspired, look into it seriously, because I mainly go on inspiration instead of motivation. And I don't know if so that's, inspired action feels a lot better than motivated action.
Right, for sure.
Yep. So that just fell in. I like to say fell into my lap. I have that was easy button, and every time, because I'm of a certain age where, I just want things to be easy now. I don't want to have to work too hard. So each time something happens, I press my that was easy button, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, but I'm doing that there. And then I have some things in California, Florida, also near Fort Myers, on the Gulf of Mexico side, the more serene side.
Oh, man, especially with this pandemic, that is definitely the more serene side for sure.
Yep. So I hope that answers that question.
No, thank you so much. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how all those projects go. And another thing I want to point out is like a lot of the pieces that you're getting, like you say, were vacant land or something that need to be renovated. One thing I really love about real estate is that you can have so many different strategies. It's just kind of based on the vision of the individual person that's dealing with it. So I might see a piece of property and be like, I don't think it could do anything. But you, especially somebody more experienced, might have 3 or 4 different options for the same piece of land, and the connections that you have and everything. So that's awesome. Can't wait to see the progress on that and how it all turns out. So,
and I want to come visit you there so I can a business trip. And then
we already talked about this. Come on down to Florida for sure.
Definitely. It's about time. It's been a couple of years since I've been there.
I know. Yeah, no, it's getting ready to be like the best weather time of the year in like Tampa and Fort Myers area. So definitely for sure, come on down so we can look at some property together.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So now I want to also ask you, because we always have to talk about it on this show, is being a woman in this real estate industry, being a woman of color, like we've, always had to have like a little bit of an uphill battle. So what has been your experience dealing with that?
Well, to be frank, I haven't noticed any hardship or anything, I didn't even notice that all I really deal with is men all day. But when I work with them, if there is, I don't like to say problems, or if there is some contrast, or I like to call contrast variety, because variety is the spice of life. If there's something that is challenging that's happening, I look at it a different way, because when in anything in my life, if there's something that there's a challenge or there's a contrast or some type of variety, I get excited because I know that this contrast is showing me what I don't want and making it more clear what I do want. Let me just give you an example. When I first started out with this business, I was paying people hourly. And then I found that they would kind of milk the clock. And so a job that might have cost me $6,000 was costing me $12,000. And at the end of that project, I remember thinking, okay, I may have not made as much money as I wanted to, but one, I did learn from that. I look at it as education. And two, I didn't lose any money. So I look at that more as education. And so when I see contrast, I actually get excited because I know something better is coming and the solution is there. And it also keeps our stress level down. And kickboxing helps too.
Oh yeah, you always talk about how your trainer's coming over, so I know she's been working you out hard these past couple of days.
That's another stress reliever. Working out, especially kickboxing, when you're hitting something. But when I see contrast, especially like with my fix and flippers, oh my gosh! So can I just tell you this? One of my guys who I'm coaching, and he's a good student, but he doesn't really listen to me a lot. So he's been having some contrast of his own, and he's like, yeah, Jolyn, oh my gosh, I can't believe what happened today. We didn't pass inspection, blah, blah, blah. And then, snowball. And what I then tell him is what the benefit of that is. So I like seeing the benefit or positive aspects of things. And because of that, he thought that he was going to lose maybe about $20,000 in additional work he had to do. But when we talked it out and I showed him some different options, he's only going to go over budget about $1,200. So when you feel like it's a contrast or there's an issue there, it's not as big as people think, and it's always fixable. Because I'm also of the what is that called? The schooling of everything is always working out for me, and it's always working out for you too. So if we continue to have that type of an attitude, then things will always work out for us.
Yeah, things that you may see as challenges can end up being a blessing in disguise. Like you said, I truly believe that as well. And I also believe about what you're saying about contrast in your work environment or anything that you're doing, like use that diversity to your advantage to stand out. Obviously, you're, like you said, you're usually working around guys. So your difference of perspective as a woman, like you said, you look at things from more of the design view than what the contractor would look at. All of those viewpoints mesh together to make a better final project. So definitely use it to your advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I go out to different projects at least once a week to see the progress. And it's so simple as, oh, what are we going to do with this concrete front yard? And I'm like, there's not much. We're in the city. There's a lot of people who own dogs. Just put some fake turf on there that looks like real grass, because fake turf nowadays is amazing. And if you do that, it'll soften it up. So I give them ideas also as far as the design goes, because most guys, they're just in it to like try to finish the job, but not.
And they're looking at it very like technical side. Right. This is what it is, but you got to have like you look at it from, all right, who's actually going to be using this house? Who's going to be living here? What are their needs and wants to kind of implement that into your finished product? So cool.
Yeah. Even as far as, because I was working with a builder where he put it was a 3-story house, but he put the laundry on the first story when the rooms were on the 3rd. So I was like, you must not do laundry because I'm not tracking laundry up 2 flights of stairs, you
Right.
know? So he changed that.
Definitely, definitely. So what are some things that you have that's coming up in the future that we should get excited and be aware of?
Well, right now I'm working on, I I acquired this piece of property through a friend of a friend, and no money down at all. So the hard money lender gave me 750,000. The sellers carried 250,000. It was $1 million piece of property, and then I have an investor putting in another 150 for the reno. So basically, we're doing 2 custom built homes, along with renovating another home, and those homes will be worth between 1.1 and 1.3 million. And I've been doing a few homes on the waterfront too right now. So along with my things in Arizona and then some of the things I'm doing here, we've got some great projects coming on. I did look at some property, and I'm always looking at property at least 2 to 3 times a week. I'm going to properties with my home inspector to inspect the property. So because when you go into a piece of property, you expect to never come back, because you might not be able to come back with the seller. So take as many pictures as you can and know what your goal is for this piece of property. And so we're looking at a triplex, and then we're also looking at that $6 million. I'm really excited about that one. And then there's a couple of other multi-unit projects that we're doing right now that I'm looking to assign and not to fix and flip. So
Awesome. Well, you're busy, but usual. But like you said, as long as you're working smart, not hard, that's awesome. Now, really quick, I want to ask you, because I'm sure people are curious, with everything that's going on with COVID, in terms of nationally, like the lending landscape has kind of tightened up. How has that affected your business?
Not at all. I mean, we've got national lenders that will lend, even if you don't have a lot of experience. We still have national lenders. Our fix and flip, our investors will always invest. What I've known about real estate is it's always constant. And whether you buy at the height of the market or the bottom of the market, it doesn't matter, because it will always appreciate. We're not making any more land. So we've got to, real estate is here to stay. And I know people look at the trends and things like that. I might do that for my ARV or after repair values, just take that into consideration. But people have to also remember, during times where, like in 2008, 2009, when people were losing their houses, people have to remember that the people who actually had money and were buying those pieces of properties were making money. So I want us, all of us, to be in that position. So when it comes time, we're the ones making money and not losing the money during recessive times. So I don't watch the news. I don't follow any trends. I work with a lot of professionals, like real estate professionals as well. I just want to say I'm not a real estate agent, and I don't want to be. But I work with real estate professionals, lenders. I work with other people who are experts in their field, and then I ask them for their advice, because I don't want to know everything, and I don't know everything. So if you have built a great team around you, then you can also refer those people to other people, and so then you're building a great network there.
Okay, cool. And that's the name of the game, is always have those good relationships, and you can definitely go further than you can by yourself. So this was a great conversation. Learned so much from you. Every time I talk to you, I feel like I learn a lot of stuff. So definitely looking forward to continuing our relationship. But now I just want to wrap it up and transition into the last segment, which is called the Fabulous Four. So it's just 4 questions that I ask all the guests. Just, whatever comes to mind off the top of your head, fire away. So the first question is, what is your favorite real estate book or book about business, self-development, anything like that?
My favorite that I read when I read it first when I was 9 is Think and Grow Rich. And there have been a lot of versions of Think and Grow Rich, but if you want one of the first versions where he talks more woo-woo, which is my speed, then I have a copy, and it's on PDF, and I would be happy to send that out to you, and you could forward it to anyone you want. But that book, from the time I read it, it changed my life and my perspective on things.
Absolutely. It's an amazing book. I encourage everybody to read it like once a year, because you'll catch something new every time you tune into it. So it's definitely awesome, must read book. Okay. Good suggestion. So the second question is, knowing what you know now, what are some advice that you would give to your younger self just getting started with real estate?
Knowing what I know now, I would have bought more real estate, even at the height of the market. Like I was saying, when I first bought, it was 15% adjustable. So just what I know now, I would have a lot more real estate than what that I have right now. But specifically is just to be able to buy some real estate without putting my own money down, using other people's money, but it's in a win-win-win situation where our investor wins, the lender wins, the fix and flipper wins, and the seller wins.
Yeah, I think that's also like a mindset thing for a lot of people, because a lot of people want to get involved in real estate, but their first thought is, oh, I don't have the money yet. So I think it's definitely a limiting belief that you have to open yourself up to, that you can buy real estate and you can use other people's money. There are a lot of people out there that have the money. They just don't have the time to be looking around for different properties. They don't have the knowledge to know what to look at. So.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. So the third question is, what topic in real estate do you personally want to learn more about?
What I really want to learn more about are the acquiring more commercial properties. I have a mentor that has been teaching me more about commercial properties, and talk about a man's world. Really, commercial property is a man's world, but I want to learn more about that, because I'd like to do bigger apartment complexes, and maybe not office buildings, but bigger apartment complexes. I am actually working on a project with Sound Transit to help build some affordable housing in Seattle, which is exciting. But that I'm actually learning from a commercial developer, which I'm very fortunate to have him take me under his wing. So if you can look for a mentor anywhere with anything that will be willing to take you under their wing just to ask them some questions, take advantage of that. And I find that people who are at the top of their game are always willing to help you.
And I love that you keep saying mentor, because you've been in the game for, like you said, 30 plus years, and even you are still always looking for a mentor relationship. So I think everybody out there, just put your pride to the side. Like, you definitely don't know everything. Even people that have been in the game for years don't know everything. So it's always important to try to reach up and get mentorship.
And I think that's one advantage that we have as women, because we are not afraid to ask for help, and the men are really open to helping us, but I find that with men, they might not be so open to asking for help. So I think that's one of the advantages that we have as women in real estate.
For sure. And that kind of segues me to the last question is, could you please give a shout out to another woman that's doing some amazing stuff in real estate right now?
Oh, I know so many, but there's Cheryl Seeger. What she does is she looks for fixer-uppers, but for adult family homes. So she actually places businesses into these homes, and she's been doing that for our elderly for at least 20 years. And that's something that I'd like to go into, but she's amazing at what she does. and she's one of the ones. And then my partner, Cece Sawyer, she's my partner in the Arizona developments, but she's my mentor that actually got me into this. And because of her vision and her teaching me things, led me to other people who could teach me things too. So yeah, those two ladies so far have been, like, personally have been. And then there's, I don't know if you watch $1 Million Listing.
Sometimes, yeah.
There's a lady on there that runs with the big boys. So I forgot her name because I don't watch TV that often, but I'll watch that to get design ideas. But the way I like the way she works is because she's very indifferent. And it's like, if you list with me, great. If you don't, great. And that's the kind of attitude you have to have when you're doing wholesale. I used to get really excited. Oh, I found a piece of property. And then, But now it's like, all right, great. I found a piece of property. If I get it, great. If I don't, great. Next. And so that's one thing is with women, we tend to get more emotional about things. But when you settle into your groove, you'll know, all right, I can have this or not. Doesn't matter to me.
Yep. Have confidence in your value and your ability. So if somebody kind of questions that, just move on to the next person.
Exactly. And you'll find when that happens, they'll be like, wait. Let's see what, they'll be the ones wanting to do the deal with you. And you can always do it in a nice way. Say, no thanks, or this is not going to be for us, or this is not going to be for me, things like that. And yep.
Yeah, once they see you, they'll always come back in some way, shape, or form. That's usually how it happens.
Yeah, exactly. They do, because they try to look for something else somewhere else, but better. But they, it's okay though. They can always come back.
All right, cool. So lastly, how can people get in touch with you? How can they follow you on social media or anything? How can they do business with you?
I just hired someone to help me with my social media because I barely post on Facebook. I mean, I get my deals. I guess I attract my deals to me, but you can always email me at wholesaledealestate@gmail.com. That's my name of my company. But I work better with texting too. So if you have a question, text is that's very timely or important that needs to be answered fast, and you can text me at 206-708-5107. That's my cell number. And it goes straight to me. And if you have questions, you can always text that to me. But that's, I have my sons who work with me and whoever works with me posting on their social media. But I think because I want to stay on the down low, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm willing to help people who really want to learn.
Absolutely. And yes, I can know firsthand that Jolyn definitely responds quickly. Like, she's a lovable soul. She sent me pictures of her brisket that she cooked yesterday.
Because I missed her appointment and I felt so bad. I was up till 1:00 smoking, and then I woke up at 5:30 to check on it, and then I fell back asleep. I'm sorry. But
no, it's all good. We're here now, and we got a great conversation going. I know people are going to love this episode, so I can't wait for them to hear it.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you, and I'll come visit you.
Yes, I can't wait for that either. That's going to be awesome. So again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thanks for taking your time out. I know you're super busy, crushing it, making $1 million deals here and there all the time.
Just the extra zero. Remember, $1 million is the extra zero from 100,000. That's it. Big deal.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to everybody hearing this episode. Definitely reach out to Jolyn. She's an awesome resource. She's a great mentor. She is just willing to help in any way possible. So appreciate you so much.
Thanks. And thanks for having me on. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And we'll definitely be in touch still very soon. So, all right, guys, this is another episode of Pretty Girls Love Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Washington. Thank you again for my guest today, Jolyn Hohnstein. All right, see you guys in the next one.